Thank you for clicking on today's video. It's going to be a little different than all of our others. You won't be getting any new information here. It's honestly just an explanation video for people who don't follow baseball because one of my friends, he asked me to do something like this because he's trying to get into baseball but doesn't know much about it. So he's reading my article and it made almost no sense to him. So if you have baseball, like background knowledge on baseball, I would just go ahead and just jump into the article. It's a debate between who would win the Cy Young between Kershaw and Scherzer, and who's having the better season, and who's a better pitcher at the moment, not career, at the moment. Yeah, so let's get started. Cy Young is basically just a prestigious award given to that year's best pitcher. Honestly, like it's just the best award a pitcher could win. So let's go into the stats. The first half of these stats, let me just scroll up so you don't get too overwhelmed. These would be considered your standard stats. They're more likely to be on the back of your baseball card. So we'll start with ERA. That stands for earned run average. And this is basically how many earned runs do you give up on an average of 9 innings. So 9 innings is key because that's typically how long a baseball game is. And you're going to see a lot of these stats are actually on a 9-inning basis. So yeah, in this, if I'm a pitcher, I'm going to be giving up less earned runs, right? I want the other team to be scoring less. So that's why a lower number in this is better. Same thing for WHIP. A lower number is better because WHIP stands for walks and hits for every inning pitched. So that's how many base runners you give up an inning, basically. And you want less base runners because that's less of a threat for the other team to score. So again, a lower number in this is better. Then we have innings pitched per game. So a game is 9 innings long, right? So you would guess the more innings you pitch, the better it is. So higher innings pitched per game, also better. Again, like I said, these next 4 are all on a 9-inning basis. So H is for hits. How many hits do I give up every 9 innings? HR for home runs. BB for walks. BB stands for bases on balls. And that's the same thing as saying how many walks do you give up. Then there's SO for strikeouts. So these first 3, I would say the lower the number, the better. You don't want to be giving up walks because those are free base runners. You don't want to be giving up hits because that means other batters are hitting you well. And HR is how many home runs. Obviously, you don't want to give up a home run for the most obvious reason. Okay, SO9, that one, so I have heard strikeouts are bad because it means the pitcher has a higher pitch count. I think that's complete nonsense. Strikeouts are the least productive out in baseball. Maybe you can say infield pop-up because of the infield fly rule, but then that's kind of like circumstantial. Strikeouts are the least productive out in baseball. This is because the ball's not even put in play. If the ball's put in play, there's a chance for it to either A, find a hole, or B, your fielders have to come up with their own play. They can have an error. They can just not be good fielders and not reach the ball. If the ball's in play, there's a higher chance of the other team scoring as opposed to a strikeout where the ball does not leave the catcher's mitt. There's exceptions to everything, but I'm just trying to simplify as much as possible. Damn it. Okay, sorry. The formatting of this was not the same as it was in the preview, so I thought this would be below the stats, whatever, as long as it's still easy to read. I just hate when these blogging websites do that, where they have, in the preview it looks fine, but then when you publish it, it comes out differently. Okay, so anyways, the second half of these stats, these are called advanced stats or sabermetrics. These ones you'll have to go on the internet to find out a little more. It's the internet has a lot of great websites that provide you with these stats. So yeah, so let's get into this. LD percentage is line drive percentage, and line drives are balls that are hit pretty well. They're in the air but not in the air for too long, and they're kind of like low line drives. I don't know how else to explain it. So because those balls are usually hit pretty well, you want a lower percentage in that. Same thing for fly balls, which is the next one, fly ball percentage. Fly balls are balls that go pretty far and hit in the air. You want a lower percentage in that because fly balls are typically well hit balls. Oh man, sorry guys, I made a mistake. In ground ball percentage, you want a higher ground ball percentage because ground balls are typically not hit as hard, and you have infielders to try to knock it down and get an easy out because of that. So I made a mistake. 45.30% should be the one that's bolded, not 38.70. So it's actually Kershaw who has a better ground ball percentage than Scherzer. I think I wrote that in the article, but I just didn't indicate that properly in my stats. I'm very sorry about that. Next, we have hard percentage and soft percentage. Hard percentage is how hard, like the batted balls, how often they're hit hard, with a high exit velocity. Hitting like hard means like hitting very far or hitting very fast. So hard percentage is obviously harder to field, and the balls are hit better. So you want this percentage to be lower. And the opposite is said for soft percentage. You want this to be higher. Oh, I made another mistake. Soft percentage should go to Kershaw. He should have the edge there as well. Wow, that was really careless. Next we have FIP and XFIP. This one's it's a little tricky. What this stat does is it isolates the number of home runs you give up, the number of hits, the walks you give up, and the number of strikeouts you get. So it tries to isolate what a pitcher can do as much as possible. It's not the best stat, but it is rather telling. A lower FIP is better. So it stands for fielding independent pitching. Basically, it tries to eliminate all the fielding as much as possible, because some teams have better fielders than others. That's just how it goes. So yeah, Scherzer has a better FIP. Interestingly enough, though, XFIP stands for expected fielding independent of pitching, and Kershaw has a better expected fielding independent of pitching, and that can probably be attributed to Kershaw not walking a whole lot of guys. Yeah, so next is WAR. This is the last one, wins above replacement. This is basically how many wins you're worth over a 162 game season above a replacement level player at the same position. So this is the only stat here that can be applied to second baseman, third baseman, first baseman, outfielders, shortstops, catchers, because it's comparing you to the peers of your position. So Scherzer is better compared to replacement level pitchers than Kershaw is. It's a lot of people like the stat, but at the same time, a lot of people don't like the stat. I do think it can be telling. I'm not completely sold on it, but I do think it was worth a mention, which is why I kept it in my article. Now the next part, I'm gonna jump to pitch variety because I think that there's little to explain there, and then I'll go back to the individual pitches. Basically, there's people describe it in two ways. There's fastballs and breaking balls, or fastballs and secondary pitches. Secondary pitches and breaking balls mean the same thing. So fastballs on average are thrown 50% of the time. Scherzer is really close to that, not a noticeable difference at all at 49.1%. However, Kershaw is at 46.4%. It's not a crazy amount of difference, but it is noticeable that Kershaw throws fastballs on a lower percentage than the average. Then these secondary pitches are all these other colors. Secondary or breaking ball pitches, however you want to pronounce them. What those are pitches that have movement on them or have some kind of spin on it. And so we'll have like changeups, sliders, curveballs, and sinkers. Scherzer's is a little different at changeups, sliders, curveballs, and cutters. Now, all these pitches have their own mechanics to it, and they have their own different ways of throwing it, different grips you have when holding it. I'm not going to go into that too much now, but I'll go over the few pitches that I went over here. Fastballs. Obviously, pitches that go fast, your hardest throwing pitch in most cases, in all cases actually. Then we have sliders. I don't know how else to describe it, but it goes in a sliding movement in a diagonal. For right-handed pitchers, it goes from the right side of the plate to the left side of the plate, and for left-handed pitchers, it goes from the left-hand side to the right side. I think I should also mention, to those who don't know, Scherzer is a right-handed pitcher, Kershaw is a left-handed pitcher. So yeah, sliders go in the diagonal action. Curveballs go in a up to down. God, that's such a pretty curveball. Yeah, curveballs go in a up to down direction. Kershaw's just so nice to look at. But yeah, look at the change in eye level here. It's like at the peak of it, it goes letter high almost, and at the where it actually crosses the plate, and when it dips, it's at knee level. So it's pretty hard to hit that pitch. Changeups, they actually don't have a whole lot of movement. Sometimes they have downward movement, but basically the changeups are like more of a deceptive pitch. It's meant to come out of your hand looking like a fastball, and but because of the way you're holding it, it slows down, and it's obviously not as fast. So another difference I should have mentioned earlier, the difference between fastballs and these breaking balls or these secondary pitches is the miles per hour and the velocity. Fastballs are going to be very fast, and these other pitches are not going to be as fast. The idea is that you want to get the batter's timing off, on top of all the movement. So you kind of have that internal clock of when a pitch is coming, and you want to mess up with that internal clock. You get that timing off with something. When you hear the term off speed, they're referring to stuff like this. You're going to throw a lot of fastballs to set them up with the timing of fastball, but then all of a sudden you throw a curveball, and a curveball could go like 77 miles an hour compared to 94 miles an hour for your fastball, and that's just going to throw off a hitter. They're going to be swinging early and stuff like that. So I think that covers pretty much everything you need to know for this article. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything. Hopefully it makes a lot more sense to those who don't have a big baseball background. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Anything else you need to learn about my opinions and stuff will actually be in the article itself. This kind of just explanation as mentioned earlier. So thank you for watching. I hope this really helped, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if there's anything I can do better with these kinds of videos, or if you want me to do these kinds of videos more often, because I do have a few friends who are just starting to get in the sports world. Maybe I'll discuss a little more with them in the future, if it's well received at least, and if this is something you like. Please let me know if there's anything else that you want me to cover, suggest topics. I'd really appreciate it if you showed us support on our website and social media pages. And again, thank you for watching the video. Hope this was everything you wanted.